If somebody were to point you to characteristics of relationships that don't last, just to give you an out so you don't waste your time in the one you're tirelessly trying to make work, would you consider them? And with the benefit of hindsight, if you had to look back at your relationships, would you say now for sure, for shiz on my knees, that if you see some traits, you would know for absolute certainty that that relationship is as good as dead? Would you? I think sometimes you can. Thank God for experience. Experience is a good teacher. And that's what I want us to talk about tonight. Characteristics of relationships that won't last. Won't last. You know, my name is Eric, by the way, if you're new here, and this is Eric Stories. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And please make sure you share your mind with me. How to do that is via the comment section or my DM. I'm on Twitter and Instagram and on YouTube. So subscribe. Come, let's be friends. What's your name? So I was thinking, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about two very interesting relationships I've been in. So I dated somebody. We didn't last so long, maybe 7.5, 8 months. And it was a very difficult relationship. And then after that, maybe I stayed out of relationships for maybe a year. And then I started dating somebody else. And the person I started dating anew after the year's break was the polar opposite of the person I was dating a year before. And that really fascinated me. It fascinated me quite a lot. You know why? Have you ever met people who don't know each other, but somebody is like sort of an answered prayer you are praying when you're in these other relationship? I mean, I've read books where women say that. They're like, oh my goodness, I was married to somebody, and then when it ended, God just answered my prayer. And so I was really mesmerized about that. So in the thinking, over the years, this was maybe 5 years ago. So over the years, I was really intentionally asking why those differences. One was good difference, the other one was a horrible experience. And one of the things I've come to, maybe conversation for another show, I think if you're a broken person, you often would attract maybe somebody who's not necessarily broken, but someone who sort of just does this to your brokenness, for lack of a better word. But if you're healed, you are able to quickly see people's malevolence and come off of situations that you would not entertain, situations that we like to call in this generation toxic. But if you're broken, you're just like, you are sort of attracted to people who are somewhat broken, or they're mean to you, and you're just like, I'm also broken, and, nobody's perfect. So you take that in. And so that was the time I was in that relationship. In hindsight, with the benefit of hindsight, was when I was most broken. I was just really at a very difficult time financially, with the death of my mother having just happened. By the way, if you're grieving, maybe it's not your true emotions that are into a relationship. Maybe you're just lonely. I would really recommend that you stay away and heal. Grieving from maybe divorce, or grieving from the death of somebody dear to you, or even grieving from having lost a job. Don't date. Sometimes our feelings are all over the place, and you're just like, I need someone to be talking to every night. So maybe you need a therapist, but not a relationship, because then you end up getting a raw deal. And so I've been thinking about those things. The second person I dated after that, very sad. Maybe it would be also because I was dishing out not such good vibes. So the second person I dated after that very tough ordeal was very, very different person. Very different person. And again, maybe could be that I was just a different person and I was attracting difference in good. So then, longevity is ideally what we wish for, really. I mean, if somebody wants to get married, you don't want to get married for 6 months. I mean, you feel bad about yourself. Even a business, you want to have staying power. So all of us, if we are being honest, we are looking for longevity. You want to be married longer, raise your kids, maybe have grandkids, if marriage is your cup of tea. Or even partnership, if you don't value marriage. Even Oprah and Stedman are together for decades now. So longevity has its place. So what would guarantee in terms of characteristics of a relationship that won't last. This is from my individual experience, and again from many of my conversations and a lot of books that I read. All right, are you ready? There are just 3 things, and I think they are very key. So if you're in a relationship and these keep recurring, then maybe you want to question whether you'll achieve longevity, or if you're just there to shoot the breeze and maybe you have a plan B, or maybe you may want to end it because oftentimes it doesn't end well. First thing, when people are meanness or spitefulness or being unkind. All right? So it's amazing to me that many times, even when I used to hang around a lot of my friends who are in relationships, then I don't do that anymore. It's complicated. People get into relationships, then they try to sort of shoo people you are with before you met them to the side so that they deal with you circumspectly. Well, it's amazing to me, even in my past relationship, at least one, where people decide to talk to you anyhowly. Have you experienced that? Somebody talks to you like garbage, They just decide that they'll talk to you like trash. They decide one day and they're going to cut you to size with their words. It would be something as, how do you walk like that? Yeah. That sort of, they make their face in a particular way or talk to you in a tone. That thing? If you haven't experienced it, pray you don't. So when people are mean or spiteful in a relationship, they talk to you, men and women alike, they talk to you whichever way they want. It always points to the relationship's likelihood not to last. And I've often wondered why. In fact, when I was in such a relationship, I used to wonder, and I used to even ask these people, so why do you talk to me like that? They would never answer. And then recently I came across some material which answered it, literally like 3 months ago, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And this person was saying that sometimes people talk to us the way they talk to us because they get a sense that our partners will always be there and we'll just take it. And then they also said that because there are no consequences, and they likened that same habit on the streets would earn you a punch. Or if you spoke to a cop that way, you'd get arrested. Or if you spoke to a boss like that, you get fired. But for some reason, people in relationships think that you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to stay here, so they talk to you the way they want. So I think meanness, or when somebody is spiteful or being unkind, will qualify the opposite of longevity. So you're going to be maybe together for 7.5 months or even shorter. All right? Second thing, indifference, lack of interest or concern or sympathy. Have you ever dated somebody like that? So indifferent. Occasionally, if you're being honest, we ought to step outside of our comfort zone just for a significant other. It's something that maybe is not really, that's something that really excites you. Maybe they want to go to a musical and you hate musicals, but just for them, so that you're there with them, you go. Or maybe you like to sleep in early, but they, like to sleep late. And they're just saying, if you just sat with me on the couch for another 2 hours, it wouldn't hurt so much. So yes, you're very regimented like that. You prefer that you're in bed by 8 o'clock, but then you decide, it's not going to hurt. So you go out of your way and stay with them for 2 hours. I think such things add on to the relationship and people feel like you care. Don't you think? So if you're dating somebody who's completely indifferent and they lack interest or show any concern or any sympathy, they're not concerned about things that concern you, that can lead to point to that relationship not lasting so long. Because you can only take people not being concerned about us for so long. All right? And then finally, contempt, which is disdainfulness, showing somebody that they are worthless. And contempt can be conveyed in many, many ways. I mean, with your words, perhaps. Talk up, again, the way you arrange your words, or just gestures. You gesture, or you throw your hand, or whatever it is you do with your hands or your body language. Name calling is another way you can show contempt, all right? Or such as, or just body language, such as maybe rolling your eyes. I've shared with you before, I read on Time magazine that rolling your eyes was voted as one of the reasons as to why couples break up, at least in the United States. Eye rolling like that. And then sneering or aggressive humor. You know, no wonder you're so dark. Something that people are very sensitive about, or talking about their weight, and you know they've been struggling about their weight. So I think contempt, indifference, and meanness are the top three reasons why a relationship might not last. So if you're in one and people are behaving that way, you want to rethink that relationship. What do you think? Did I leave something out? The comment is open. Comment section is open just for you. Type away. Good evening.